Hello and welcome once again to the Ski Rex Media Podcast. I am Tim from Ski Rex Media, as always, on yet another fine blue sky, sunny, warm spring day, and this is the first brand new podcast episode for the new season, spring, and I thought it'd be good to do another check-in. Now, a couple episodes, I did a springtime check-in talking about stats, where we're all at physically, talking about how it's good to check in with one's self, see how you're doing, see what you're doing, what you can do, what you can continue to do, or what any of us can continue to do. And I wanted to check in today because I wanted to talk about money and spending money. And this time we're going to talk about how I spent money on the Indy Pass way back in September and how well I made out with it. That's what we're talking about. And we're also going to talk about cheap skiing anyway, or skiing cheaply, or skiing cheaper, or any of that stuff. But we're going to start with the Indy Pass because I love the Indy Pass. I really do, and I really put some work in on it. Not nearly as much as I would have liked to this year. Did not get out on it as much. Now, the Indy Pass for $1.99, that's $199 I paid for back in September. 2 days at every participating mountain, which at that point was like 54, and it's now 60 plus. Can't remember off the top of my head how many, but that's a lot of days. That you can get in on the pass at a lot of different places. And that's one of the beauties of it. But today we're talking about, well, at first we'll talk about the Indy Pass more, why I like it, as we get into this. But we're going to talk about cost. Is it the best value? Because I've seen that. Other media outlets, snow sports and other sports and travel and hospitality outlets have said, or have posed the question, is the Indy Pass the best value in skiing? That's actually a harder question to answer than some would realize. You could say, well, it's the cheapest multi-pass there is, mega pass there is. I'm like, it is true, but as I tell anybody who's thinking about buying a season pass, whether it be a mega pass or a mountain-specific pass at one's home mountain, you get the one that you can abuse. And when I say, can you abuse it, can you do at the end of your part of the season? Because the season never really ends, because we can go into summer and fall activities as well, indoor skiing, plastic hills, all that good stuff, grass skiing, and so on. What when you do the math though, how many did you pay for it? If you spent $1,000 on your pass, a day ticket is $100 on average. Did you get your 10 days in to at least break even? And then what did you go beyond that? And that's the abuse. Now you start coming down. If you do the math, the days the cost of a day gets lower and lower and lower and lower and lower till it's $1 a day. Now, to get enough days in to make any pass $1 a day may or may not be tough depending on what one can do. Not everybody has time to ski 100, 200, 300 days in a calendar year. Not everybody has the physical ability to do that. Not everybody wants to. Some people are good with, a handful of days, and that's good for the season, and that's cool too. Never let anybody tell you you're doing it the wrong way. How many times do I say that? Never let anybody tell you you're doing it the wrong way. So the Indy Pass is beautiful for this, and it was beautiful for me. Now, I planned on using it a lot more, really abusing the heck out of it, because I can. Under normal circumstances, I absolutely could. You see, when it comes down to mega passes, Indy Pass or the Epic or the Icon, any of the three of those I can abuse. I have mountains right around the corner. Where I live in Vermont, I have mountains within spitting distance on all of them. An hour, some of them even closer than an hour, but a lot within an hour, and then within 2 hours a lot more, and then obviously then you branch out, but within 2 to 3 hours, which really isn't bad in my opinion. I know sometimes traveling stinks, and having to be able to drive and all that stuff stinks. I live in a place where I can do that, so I can really abuse any of them. I chose the Indy Pass. Why? I wanted to cut costs, because it is $200 compared to some of the other passes isn't bad. It just isn't bad at all. It's cheap comparatively. It's very cheap. Plus, it has mountains that I had never heard of. I had never been to. Even the ones I had heard of, I still hadn't been to. I've only skied one mountain this year that I've ever been to before. Killington, that was it, which is obviously not on the Indy Pass. It's an icon mountain, but that's the only one I went to that I had been to before. Every other place I skied this year, I had never been there, and I wanted to check them out, and that's the beauty of it. But again, why I like it, we'll get to that. We're talking about the cost. Is it cost effective? Is it a viable option for those who are looking to save money on their skiing and make skiing cheaper, an expensive sport, activity, hobby cheaper? I would say yes. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Now, I didn't get to use it as much as I wanted to between the travel restrictions and the weather and my own schedule, and then health issues that cropped up, and car issues, blowing a tire and having car trouble, not being able to run around as much as I would have liked to. All those things. And I only did it for 6 days, right? 6 days I only used on it. And I still got more than my money's worth. Simply put, I actually kept a spreadsheet of this, and that way it could do the math and I didn't have to. I would just add in my days, and some of my days aren't the exact price, because some of that is, I might have gotten the online only price and not realized it, and not what you'd pay at the window walk up or something like this. The price I got for Black Mountain, New Hampshire, I forgot to check it completely. That was a rough day. Actually, that was a really rough day. That's a story for another time. In fact, now that I think about it, I never did a recap for that day. I have to do a recap for that day this week, because it's more than a week past, and I forgot all about it. Isn't that something? But that was a rough day. But anyway, not the point. So one of the people I skied with, they told me what they paid for a day ticket, so I threw that in. That'll work. It really doesn't matter how exact it is, because the difference. Fact is, over 6 days on day ticket prices, I would have skied for $417. Some people would obviously spend a lot more. Others would spend less, depending on how many you go, which mountain you go to, all this and that. But $417 on Indy passes. So I did a $417 worth of skiing for $200. That's awesome. That's awesome. And again, if it wasn't the perfect storm of bullshit that kept me from going out as much as I wanted to, or would have liked to, I should say, it would have been even more. It would have been even more, because I would have been able to get up to J, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do before it shuts down. I would have been able to get down to Magic, shuts down, or Berkshire East before, or back for a second day at Pat's Peak, or whatever it may be. I just didn't get out as much as I would have liked. I did, and that happens. And I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining. But $417 over 6 days. I mean, if you take those 6 days for the $200 I spent, that's $33.16 a day. That beats almost any day ticket anywhere, even at these places. These places that run $45, $50, $60 a day. I've beaten that by almost 50% on any given day at almost anywhere. That's what I mean about abusing your pass. I paid for my pass after the 2 visits, the 2 days I did after the first 4. Mathematically, those were free. Those were free. And every other day after that would be free. That's another way to look at it. Fact is, any way you do the math, it does not matter. I saved money. Now I get it, that the problem with these passes is that the layout, the initial layout, 200, 400, 600, 1,000, depending on the pass you get. That's a pain in the ass sometimes, and I get that. But 200 for the cheapest pass, again, start now. Think about this right now. It's March 2021, before the winter begins, before the 21-22 winter season begins, right? Start saving up. Throw $1 away here, $1 there. Put it in a piggy bank. I have many piggy banks. I love them. Throw your change in a bucket. Do what you can do. Take your cans and bottles back. And just keep it in mind, save up that $200. Again, if you can abuse the pass, there's so many Indy mountains out there. Take a look at it. You probably got something near you. At least I hope you do. Some people don't. One of the people I skied with, she doesn't have a lot of these mountains near her. So might not be the best way to go. But still, $200. Save up. Take a look. Get the 200, get it, do your 2 days at the mountains you can do. And you get discounted tickets for the 3rd day after that, so that's pretty good too. And I didn't even get to do that. And I wanted to, and I still didn't get to do it. Excuse me for that. But the point is, $200, save it up, get it, and then ski it as much as you can. And that goes with any Mega Pass, actually. If you buy Epic, Icon, Mountain Collective, whatever the other ones out there, whatever you have in Europe, um, you know, get those and really ski the hell out of it, whichever one you can do, and keep track of that number. Just for your interest's sake. Like, if you have the money, great. And, obviously, if you saved it up and purchased it, you had the money. And you don't think about it beyond that sometimes. But I say think about it and see what you saved. Like, again, $33 a day I skied on the Indy Pass. And to be honest, when I skied off of it, I think the most expensive ticket I bought was $60. And I can't remember. I should have looked up before I started recording my receipt. But I had an early season Killington day. I think that was a 60. On my birthday, I went to Pico. That was 45. That was dirt cheap. That was less than a Monday ticket there. Big snow in October. That was $36 with taxes and fees. I went and did a $20 2-hour session over at Ski Queechy. I didn't spend jack on skiing this year, and the Indy Pass was the foundation of that, because $200 at mountains that their tickets aren't even that expensive anyway. They're still well under 100, and on some days under 75. And there are days where even small places, like I've said it 100 times, I love Camelback in Pennsylvania. I do love that mountain, and shout out to them. That sucks what happened to their chairlift the other day. A chair came down detached with people on it, and those people got hurt. I don't think anybody got killed, but they got hurt. It was just an ugly scene, and that sucks for them. And I do love that mountain, but I think before I got the Camel card, which discounted tickets, I spent like $75 there on a day ticket. Same at Seven Springs out in Pennsylvania, $75. Beyond that, I can't remember what I've paid at other places, because I still knew people in the industry, so I was getting free tickets at Mount Snow and Stratton quite often, so that's where I was going. But we know that over the years, the ticket prices have gone up, and some places are well in excess of $100. Even the high end places are pushing 200. Now, part of that is, that's just the economics of the thing. Another part of that is, higher ticket sales means you push season pass sales, mega pass sales, and multi-pass sales, because it's a better deal. A season's pass will always be a better deal no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter what you're into. This isn't just skiing. This is another one of those in real life tips from Tim from Ski Rex Media. I lived in New Jersey, right around the bend, maybe 10 minutes from Great Adventure, Six Flags Park down there in New Jersey. And on their radio commercials, they would brag about it. 2 uses and your pass is paid for, and then you can just keep coming back. They would brag about that. They wanted you to buy the pass, and for a lot of reasons. There's more that goes into it than that. You say, well, don't the places lose money on those season passes? No, because every person like me who will abuse the hell out of it, there's 100 people who will maybe make those 2 days, like at Six Flags, or will only go the 4 days on their Indy Pass to pay for it, or any other season's pass to anywhere, even if it's to your local museum. For every one of us who, like me, who abuses it, there's a lot more people who don't. Plus retail, food and beverage, other things. Believe me, nobody's losing money on season passes typically. Again, I'm not in their financial department. I don't know if I'm right. I could be 100% wrong. Believe me, I've been out of retail for now 4 or 5 years. 4 years. I could have forgotten everything. Honest. I wouldn't lie to you. But the point stands. Get the pass that you can abuse. And like I said, if I really could have gotten into it as much as I wanted to, $33 a day, that was for 6 visits. Now, if we do the math for me personally, think about that. Jay Peak is 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. That's the furthest one in Vermont from me. Magic Mountain is an hour. Bolton is an hour. Suicide 6 is 20 minutes from me. Now, think about that. And just the 4 in Vermont then. With 2.5 hours. Within 2.5 hours, I had 8 days of skiing. Within 2.5 hours. So I would have done even better just staying in Vermont. But then if I could have timed it better and gotten out, because there's mountains that are an hour away. Pat's Peak's an hour away. Waterville Valley, which just recently got out of the Indy Pass, that's an hour 20 away. Isn't Cannon on Indy Pass? That's an hour, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Think about that. If I could have gotten and abused it even more, I'd be down to like $5 a day skiing. If that's not the best value ever for places that you don't usually hear about unless you're local, or usually you wouldn't even think about going. Obviously, everyone thinks about going to the bigger places first. The big names that you've heard of, the popular places. Killington, I went there. It's one of the most popular places in New England and the biggest. And it's a full resort with all the amenities and all the goings on and all the, and it's big and it has all the terrain and the lifts and all this other stuff, and it's great and I love it, and I always have ever since I was a teenager when I started going there. When I worked at Mount Snow in high school, we got our driver's licenses. We were up there. It was on our pass. We didn't pay to ski there. There may or may not have been a day or two during my senior year that I was there instead of in class. Not gonna lie about it. But you don't, that's where people typically go. Or that's what you think of, and you can't help it because of popularity. But there are so many other places, and so many one may not have heard of. And the beauty of the Indy Pass is it brings these places to light. It brings these places right into the forefront, making them more popular, but not so popular that they get overrun. For instance, when Mount Snow, now on the Epic Pass, when Vail bought out, what was that, Peak Resorts? Is that what that was called? It's like 2 years ago. It feels so long ago that I can't remember. But a lot of people from that area, and I grew up in that area. I know Mount Snow. I used to work there. I grew up around there, and people were like, "Oh, great! It's on the Epic Pass now. It's just going to get overrun." I saw some evidence that they may have been right. I said it wasn't going to happen. I was like, it's not going to get overrun. There's a lot of people there, even during the season of COVID-19. But these other places, man, and again, maybe a little biased because I went to them during the week mostly. I only skied one weekend day this year, this year so far. And I never had there was never more than 5 people in a lift. That's a lie. It's a mistake. Suicide 6, opening day. I was there for opening day. Now it was pretty busy that day, but we had just gotten that friggin' 3 to 4 feet of snow, that early season weird snow in Vermont. Like, it snows in Vermont, it snows that early, but 4 feet at a shot. Like, Okemo, I think, set a record in the town of Ludlow for the most snow gotten in one shot ever. It was a very strange, out of nowhere thing. So I went up there, and it was pretty busy. Plus, I think it was the first day of a holiday break in December. So, kids were out of school, parents were home for that, and they can drive. So a lot of people went out there. So it was pretty jammed, but it wasn't so bad. Like, there was the line, but it was moving. And, once you got up the chair and onto the hill, there was plenty of room for everyone to play. And it's not a big mountain, so that's how busy it actually was. It looked really busy and the line was there, but it wasn't a problem. Then other days both days I went to Bolton Valley, the line never got deeper than 3 people. And, that it was once during that day. So the point is, in a roundabout way, that these places are not super popular, but they are awesome, and they do have a following. Like, if you talk to people who are regulars, people who are mountain specific, who have the mountain specific passes, and locals, they'll tell you even though locals don't always ski, oddly enough, they end up working at the mountain more than skiing it sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. They love it. These people love it, and they say this place is cool. The vibe is great. The cheeseburger's friggin' awesome, and you wouldn't know it because no one ever goes there. And it's surrounded by bigger things. Like, we went out to Black Mountain the other day. To get there, I had to pass Bretton Woods, Attitash, and Wildcats right up the damn road. Like, with, Cranmore, which is in Conway, right up the road the other way. Like, these places that have bigger names and have other, like, celebrity names attached to them. Chris Davenport used to ski at Cranmore. He's from that area. I think it's Chris Davenport. So these names that are attached to these bigger places that we've heard of. Also, like Loon Mountain, I passed that on the way home from Black Mountain. And Black Mountain, though it was a rough day for me personally, just getting there and driving there, but we still had fun. Like that was a fun day. We had a lot of fun there. Those of us who were there, and it was late season conditions, so they were, it was a little rough, but whatever. That's the name of the game. It's spring. That's what happens. It's that time of year. So it really wasn't a big deal. But the place, for a smaller place, it was kind of cool. Really neat setup. A lot of diamond terrain and double diamond terrain if you're into that. Very cool about that for those. Like it was actually almost, it felt like the more difficult and expert terrain was overwhelming. Like there was more of that than intermediate and beginner terrain. Not something you see often. Kind of unique. So it's worth checking out. And again, it was not busy. Even on a Sunday, it wasn't busy. And New Hampshire just like lifted, a great deal of their travel restrictions and mask usage and all this other stuff. They said, screw it, we're open. And it still wasn't busy. So there you go. That's the beauty of it. That's why I liked it. Beyond the price, because the price I said was right. Like I said, I only used it for 6 days and I only spent $33.16 a day for what I used. That's great. $417 worth of ticket days for $200. 50% off. Like, you can't beat that. I mean, you can beat that. If I would have gotten more days, I would have destroyed that. But I didn't, and you can do the same thing too. I'm gonna have to check in with some of the others, like the ones I skied there. Almost all of us had Indy passes that day. Only one of us didn't, and I should check in with them and see what they spent, because they did go to Cannon and Waterville and somewhere else maybe. Did they go somewhere else? I don't remember. But the point stands. I bet you they did just as well. I highly recommend the Indy Pass for the price and for the cool mountains you can find. Because let me tell you something. You don't always need hundreds of thousands of terrain acres. You don't need a shit ton of vertical. You don't need every major modification in lifts and every piece of lift technology. You don't always need that. And maybe you do. I'm not saying that's wrong, but give everything else a try. It's worth it, believe me. And also, some of these mountains, though they are independent, so you think they are smaller, they're not really all that much smaller. Pat's Peak is pretty good size, man. Bolton Valley's pretty good size, man. Like, these are good size, tons of terrain mountains. Like, that even without the mega pass, if you just spend a day ticket, you're still coming out money ahead. Like Bolton Valley's a good example. Right around the bend is Stowe. I think they're $100 a day. Bolton Valley isn't. Is Stowe bigger? Yeah, Stowe's pretty big. But Bolton Valley's nothing to sneeze at. It's good size, lots of terrain, easy to get lost. If you go down to the run part of the mountain at the wrong time and you have to walk back, it's a good distance walk. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. I love it. Like I said, I skied only one place that I ski this year that I had skied before. Every other mountain I had never been to before. And that includes all this Indy Pass stuff. Pat's Peak, Bolton Valley, Suicide Six, Black Mountain. I'd never been to those places before. And they were awesome. I enjoyed each and every one of them, and I can't wait to see the others. Jay Peak and Magic and Saddleback and Waterville and Swain and Greek Peak and go all the way down to Tennessee, and then maybe even get out to Juneau, Alaska. What is that? Eagle Crest? Like out there, like so many options. It gives you so many options for such a good price that I recommend it, and so many different things. Isn't there a saying, something along the lines of variety is the spice of life, or something similar to that? It's no joke. It's so many different places that are so not hidden gems, not unpopular, because they have a following. They absolutely have a following, but not like going to big, giant, fancy resorts. I don't know. That's just me. And like I said, I made out like a bandit. So I suggest that, and let's be honest, man. Even off the Indy Pass, I still made out like a bandit. Like I said, I did a 2-hour session at Ski Quechee here in Quechee, Vermont, which is even closer than Suicide Six. It's 10 minutes up the road, 15 from me, and I paid $20 for a $2-hour end of the day session. It was fine. It was the end of the day. There weren't a lot of people there, and I got to take a bunch of runs for $20. Not bad. I went to, like I said, Pico. scanning over their homepage on their website, their main homepage. Always go to the homepage of the website. You'll find the best deals. Read all the way down and scroll all the way down. $45 for my birthday. That was awesome. I mean, it was $45 for anybody who had Vermont or New Hampshire driver's license. If you lived in Vermont or New Hampshire, you got a cheap ticket. And Killington does the same deal. I don't remember if the days are the same, the Vermont and New Hampshire days. But yeah, you may have to take a day off of work Monday, but you're saving money going up for a lift ticket. Absolutely. And it's worth it. Skiing can be cheap. And these are things you do. Get your Mega Pass. Like I said, I suggest the Indy Pass. I'm going to get one again next year and finish touring all these mountains that I didn't get to see. And like I said, some of them I had never heard of. But look, get your Mega Pass. Look for the special deals, on certain days. Try to ski off holiday and weekend if you can. Not easy. I know the majority of people are off during the weekend and obviously off on holidays, so that might be your time. But there's ways around that, and we'll have to talk about that as the next winter in the 2021-2022 season kickoff. We'll start talking about more, and maybe during the summer as well, we'll talk about ways to save and ways to sneak out there and get the cost down a little bit. We'll talk about that. But today it was all about the Indy Pass, which I've talked about, and how you can save money at other places. I love it. I highly suggest it. Get it. Again, I'm not over pushing it. I mean, I'm not being paid to say this, so I can say if you don't live in a place where there are any of the Indy Pass mountains and you'd have to go 3-4 days and it's just not viable for you, I understand. They understand. Go ahead and get something else, but get the one that you can use. Like I said, right here, I have mountains on all of them. I'm an hour away, hour and a half away. Epic Pass, Mount Snow, hour and a half, hour 45. Okemo, 40 minutes maybe. Stowe, an hour, not bad. And these are just in Vermont. Icon, same thing. Stratton, hour and a half. Hour to Killington. I'm not far. And look for the smaller places anyway. Even if you're not buying a pass, you'll get a better deal. And if you love your home mountain enough where you ski it every day, get the season pass, dude. It's worth it. It's worth it. Absolutely. Always get passes if you can. And then definitely check out the Indy Pass. You'll get a lot of cool mountains, and that are just different because they are off the beaten path and not insanely overpopular that there's hundreds of people there all the time. Right? Hope that all made sense. I hope I got my point across. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I hope you enjoy it anyway. I hope you didn't. Wow, you don't enjoy me knocking around the microphone like that. Holy smokes. God damn, how unprofessional am I? So I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button if you are watching on YouTube, or hit the little like heart icon if you're watching on IGTV, or if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, the audio only platforms. Please like, share, rate, follow, subscribe, do all that stuff to show your fandom and let me know it's worth it for me to keep doing these. I'm going to keep doing them anyway. People like them, people enjoy them, and hey, I got to ski with a bunch of fans, so that was cool too. Awesome shout out to them. Thank you everybody for joining me once again and listening to the Ski Rex Media Podcast, or watching it, #watching, and I will catch you next week for the next one. Enjoy your spring. I hope you're able to. It should rain at some point, but right now it's sunny, nice days, so put the t-shirts on, switch your goggles to sunglasses, and get out there on the soft snow. But probably wear your helmet. I don't know. If you want to wear your ball cap, that's fine too. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I would never, and you know that. Thank you for watching and listening, everyone. I am Tim from Ski Rex Media. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Later.